dropped a hot dog in IKEA?
He was walking out pushing the trolley and he dropped the hot dog out the bun.
Oh,
All over his boots and he
all
blisters.
over the trolley. Oh, that was a waste of how much a hot dog's from IKEA?
Well,
£1.
Yeah, it was £1. But I had like 10 seconds stood at the bin debating whether to like still eat it or whatever. But
yeah, we've got the gorilla on the front. Matthew took that to the back room for half an hour this morning. I don't know what he was doing in there. Hi and welcome back to the channel. It's Mark from PowerSonic and Apprentice 1-to-1. I hope everyone is well today. And in this episode, we're going to look at what it's like to employ an electrical apprentice and use some of the government support tools to help make that happen. And this isn't speaking as somebody who is helping other people do it, as we have done through the course of the last year or so with Apprentice 1-to-1. This is my direct experiences and some of the things that have gone on recently because we have hired a new apprentice and you're going to meet him in this video. We're going to have a little chat in the van and show some site work. But before we get on with all of that, I want to point to some of the resources that are available with information to help you make an informed decision if you are looking to hire an apprentice yourselves. Hopefully this might help other small employers who are in a similar situation. It's not as complicated as it used to be with the grant system. It has been streamlined and made a lot easier to access and understand over the last few months. Obviously the government had some prior issues to get sorted out with coronavirus and other things that were going on, so this wasn't top of the agenda, but luckily now it is much simpler to understand. There is a much clearer and more fairer system in place as well for both employers and apprentices and adult learners. And we'll jump straight on with the video and take a look at exactly what those things are over at my desk just behind me here. And then for those of you who like to see a bit of site work, we're going to jump out with my elite squad and his apprentice. So that's Matthew and his new apprentice, who is also under the guidance of myself before anyone gets too upset. And they're going to be installing an EV charge point, so we're going to have a look at that one as well. But let's get straight onto the computer and I'll show you some of the information that's available for people who are looking to get a bit of financial support in making that step to take on an apprentice. Okay, so you can see here we've got the Apprentice 1-to-1 website open, and I hope this is coming out okay on camera because I haven't set up a screen record and microphone. I have just gone straight for it and recording from my monitor here. But we have all of the links to a lot of the government resources on the website, and again I tried to keep it all factual and linked to actual government advice and some of the industry advice that's out there. While we're on the Apprentice 1-to-1 website, if you click on the home page, we've got access to the podcast, so you can see the latest episodes that are coming up there as well. They're all just dropped out, and there is one on there about the grants as well, where I speak in a little more detail about those. A bit on the website what we do and how we've done it, so there's that on there. You can register. There's links to other podcast episodes over on YouTube. And these are some of the historical ones. So these guest-based episodes now are going to start coming out on Monday Club and the Spark Show as the guys of those channels are prepared to host and edit them. So we've got links to the IET, for example, and what's been going on with there. So you can see here that's on Neil's channel now, where we spoke with Jordan Osborne. And there's some of the information, and that's our partnership certificate there as well. So we have all those kind of resources, and again I'm not going to sit and run through them all, but there's links to the JIB, TESP, ECA, some of the tool donations, some of the industry stories, Louise Adamson, all sorts of information on there. But linking straight off to the government information, and this is to do with the grants, so this is for applying for the hire of a new apprentice. And it tells you here, apprentices who've joined your organisation from the 1st of April this year to the 30th of September can claim the incentive payment in addition to the £1,000 employers already receive. So the £1,000 isn't based on this date up here, you can get that anywhere regardless. It's the additional £3,000 that your company can claim based on the hire of an apprentice between these two dates. Now it's important to note that it does say further down here they must have an apprenticeship start date from the 1st of April, but it does go up to the 30th of November. So if they've come into employment with you but not actually started their apprenticeship, you can still claim the grant. So that's an important aspect. And also the £1,000 payment isn't just for 16 to 18 year olds. There are some other special circumstances that apply, and it details that here as well, as you can see on the screen. And you get a bit of information here about apprentices who joined your organisation before the 1st of April. It tells you that the application deadline for these apprentices has closed. So unfortunately you can't claim anything for those. And equally, if you have members of staff within your business, it says here you cannot apply for an existing employee who joined your organisation before the 1st of April 2021, even if they start an apprenticeship after this date. So that's another factor to keep in mind. It tells you here as well about the payments. So they come in 2 equal instalments at 90 days and 365 days. And the apprenticeship needs to run for at least a year to qualify for the full payment. So that's all on there as well. And that links from the Apprentice 1-to-1 website. It's government resource. So it's quite a lot of factual information on there, and it's well worth a read. Another section that the government have is to do with employing an apprentice. So it tells you about the funding. It tells you how you can get help to pay for the apprenticeship training and assessment. So there is the levy if you have a pay bill over £3 million each year. And it goes on to describe all of the information on there, so it's well worth reading and having a look into yourselves. There's too much on there for me to run through now on this YouTube video, but that's all there. And again, apprentice recruitment support and tools for employers and training organisations. So if you want an employer's guide to apprenticeship recruitment, for example, there is loads of documents and resources on there. And again, it's all linked from the Apprentice 1-to-1 website. There's information on the national minimum wage for 2021. So you can see here what the national living wage is. You can see what the apprentice rate is, and then based on ages as you move up the bands as well, and how that's increased year on year. So that's a government resource. Obviously they set the national minimum wage, so that's there as well. There is also this little link here, which is a government support tool for both apprentices and employers. If you look at the top there, so you can click between the two. So if we go on to the employers section, it tells you here about hiring an apprentice, the road to qualify for an apprenticeship, some real stories. So they have industry stories as well. It's again just to make clear that the Apprentice 1-to-1 community isn't trying to replace anything else or become some industry body in its own right. It's just a signposting exercise to get people the help and the support they need, and this is a great place to get it. This is something that the government have put in place, so it's well worth checking out. And again, it's linked from the Apprentice 1-to-1 website. And if you're an apprentice yourself and you need to find an apprenticeship, they do have a search tool for job roles. It is different for Scotland and Northern Ireland and Wales, so you have to do a separate search there. So if you click on the links here, it takes you off to where you can go and find that information based on where you are in the UK. And yeah, that's kind of the guidance that I point people towards. I try and keep it strictly to government advice and support. There is also information over on the ECA, you've got TESP and the Joint Industry Board as well, and we do link to all those bodies from the Apprentice 1-to-1 website, so it's well worth checking those out. But I think I've bored you all enough right at the outset of this, and the short story is, if you are hiring a young person, you can claim this £4,000 grant. So you get your £1,000 you would get anyway, and then the additional £3,000, but you have to have them in your employment before the 30th of April 2021 and onto an apprenticeship training course by the 30th of November 2021. And usually a key thing to remember with all of that is that you have to give them paid employment for 30 hours a week, and that has to include paid time at college. And we'll speak a little bit more about how you can get the benefit of that later on in the apprenticeship. It can seem like a bit of a daunting exercise at the beginning, the commitment to that regular financial payment, but the idea is you become faster, more profitable as apprentices, developing their training and experience, and you get the payback in your business from having them there working with you. But let's jump on with the rest of the video. So one of the key aspects you're going to need to provide your apprentice with is equipment to do the job, and that's these things here. No, I'm joking. Obviously, electricians I don't know what they are. They're just always here. They make a lot of noise. Anyway, this is kind of what we get the apprentice first set out with. So we've got a bit of PPE in there, e-defenders, glasses, gloves, obviously VDE drivers and hand tools, some croppers, all of the basic essentials. And they've been using this bag. I've just grabbed hold of it while they've all gone home for the day. We've got the voltage indicators, lock-off kit, and that's just to introduce the idea of safe working to them. So you've got the cost of trying to provide them with the right tools and materials. They shouldn't be providing their own equipment to come and do with the job with you. You need to put this kind of stuff in place for them to keep them safe and to give them the tools to do the job. So yeah, we're gonna jump out to site, and we'll meet the team in the van and have a little chat. I think we'll go from there, and I will pick up with the video as we move along.
I just don't understand why. Surely, like, electrical testing would be the least of your worries if your bedroom's like full of mold.
There is that argument. Like what's the most immediate danger to you?
Surely, if there's like regulations to get electrical testing, landlords should have to do stuff like that as well.
There is. There's like all sorts of housing acts and habitable homes legislation. The problem is no one enforces anything. You had a little play with the test set yet, Nathan?
You go around getting ZS's on you.
Yeah.
You've been allowed to press the buttons.
I did the like plug socket one.
Yeah.
The ZS's.
Been allowed to press the buttons.
Did the test button.
Most of the socket ones, and then I just go around and do the ones where you have to probe inside stuff.
Yeah.
Good, because a lot of apprentices, they never get any experience in testing. I get loads of messages all the time from people who are like trying to prepare for their AM2, but their employers have never even let them near a test set. You just see them at college.
Been filling the sheets in as well as I tell you the things. Like trying to tell you what to put in what box. And
Calculated the R1 and R2 as well.
Yeah, so that's it. Getting used to the maths behind it, and you can kind of see how the actual results correlate with that, or don't sometimes.
yeah, and then the end-to-ends and stuff. Like once you've done your R1, R2, I told you about the 1.67.
Yeah.
It's in the CPC.
It's just getting experience of it when you're starting off. As an apprentice, you need the basic principles of all your PPE, so making sure that you do actually use it and don't just carry it around in your bag. Especially when you're working in some homes that aren't in the best nick.
Yeah.
So you've got your gloves on and
Respirators.
goggles and your face masks. And obviously with the occupied stuff, you need your crappy little flimsy face masks and that to wear enamel shops on. If you're going in somewhere with walls full of black mold, then it's well worth putting your Mr. Everyday 3 masks on.
They need to be within 0.05 of each other. Then you times it by 1.67 to work out what your earth should be.
Yeah.
If it's a lot higher, then you've probably got a loose connection somewhere.
And then when you connect them in so you do the crossover or figure of 8,
Yeah.
you should roughly measure a quarter of what the two added together would be around one. And you have to. It doesn't always come out like that, but certainly if you've got spares on the circuit, yeah, generally speaking, it should. When you're at school and stuff, did they have anyone come in and even tell you about apprenticeships? Did you ever, like, hear anything of it, or are they all just, like, you've got to go to sixth form and do A-levels kind of thing? That's what it's like when I was at school. I don't think it's probably not changed since then, to be honest, based on what other people have said.
Nah, they did have people tell us about apprenticeships.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, like employers or careers advisory type people?
Yeah, like career advisory people.
It wasn't like one-to-one though, was it?
No, you're not
No.
going to get that in
No.
school. You wouldn't expect it, would you?
They actually did have like one-to-one.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. Because that's often what people complain about, that they're not telling school kids about apprenticeships or like putting them forward as an option for them. But if you're saying the school had them come in and actually talk about it with you, that's pretty decent. What about your actual teachers and stuff though? Did they ever like guide you towards doing stuff like that, or were they?
How did they push you on to sixth form?
Oh, yeah, it's mostly like, I don't know, yeah, more of a narrative to get you to go to.
They want you to
Sixth
carry
form
on
and
doing
uni.
those subjects, don't they?
But we still got told about apprenticeships and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that's still my generation, like, assuming, because when we were at school it was never really spoken about. All the people who got pushed towards apprenticeships were generally people who failed their exams. And the ones who had done well, they wanted to keep in on A-levels and stuff like that, because I guess it's well intentioned, because they think that's the best thing for it's like when you come from a kind of teaching background, I think that's how you're kind of conditioned to thinking that you don't really understand that as a tradesperson you can do very well for yourself. Some people don't have like really long, happy working lives doing that kind of work.
I would say from experience, most people at uni tend not to be that smart.
You don't think?
No.
I think that's what's happened though, that's the change in generation. When I was your age, not many people went to university. It wasn't a thing really because there wasn't all the student loans and funding. Now you get like, you learn you can get to live off, and although you're paying for your courses, you're also not. It just goes on to learn that you're not really thinking about ever paying back in any like short-term point in the future, are you? It's just like not a factor. Well, I'm assuming it's not a factor really in your thinking, I would have said. So loads of people can go to uni, like most people do, don't they? I think when I was a younger person, it was generally just like the well-off people who could afford to go to uni because there wasn't any of those loans to pay for your cost of living. You could get loans to pay for the course itself, that was just the thing. Actually attending uni used to be free, but it was the whole expense of actually going there, living in hall. It just wasn't really a thing. Certainly not in my school anyway. Obviously, I can only really speak about your own experiences. I would say most people tended to go on into sixth form after they finished school, and then maybe 10-15% of those people have gone to uni. I bet those numbers are far higher now. So like you say, you end up with some people on uni courses who you would consider not that bright. Harsh, Nathan, harsh. Nathan's laying down the law. People at uni are thick.
To be fair,
What have you enjoyed the most so far, Nathan?
Probably the rewires. It's usually more busy doing stuff like that.
Okay. So like the dusty, messy stuff.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Well, that's quite handy. I'd probably agree as well to a point. I think some people really put themselves off doing stuff like that. It just seemed like hard work, but the days go fast, don't they, as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's quite therapeutic as well, just smashing holes in walls, chasing plaster.
they're usually alright until you have to get in the loft.
Yeah, loft should be banned. I've said this for a while, and we actually started, tried to start a government petition to ban cables from being allowed to be running lofts. But no one else really took it on board and died.
It should be like in America with service voids.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why we don't build houses like that. So you have a proper, like they build it into the buildings, don't they, where they have
Yeah, 'cause you can see it at Grandad's house.
huge voids to pull cables and pipes through, and then access points to them, so you can actually get in and work on them without pulling everything apart. And then when they have fuse board panels and other bits of services like your water pumps and things, they're in massive rooms with loads of nice access to things. We get assholes who stick them in the back of the kitchen cupboard or in a tiniest understairs cupboard imaginable, and like make the enclosures as small as we can so they don't look too offensive to the occupiers. Like bollocks to them. We actually designed this stuff, we should make it huge and easy to work on. They're going to have to deal with it.
Everything's bigger in America. They have the space to do it.
That's true.
We have to optimise space more.
Yeah, that is a point.
Plus our houses aren't going to get blown away in a gust of wind.
Yeah.
No, that is point, but like houses are houses at the end of the day. I think you can build service space into them if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Get stuck in. You watched any more of the YouTube channels that might need you on?
No, none of them ones.
Gary will be pleased to hear that you found his channel easiest to follow. You did have a little look. That was that GSH Leafix one, the ones in the blue with the red tops as you said. To be honest, that's the start and end of support for video support on apprenticeships. So if you want to actually see how stuff gets done, yeah, it's there and some.
The testimony is pretty good. The GSH ones.
The theory side, when you start getting into the maths, completely electrical, it's really good. Gary has stuff as well on his about that. Great is a smaller channel, but that's well worth watching. It's great, really. Completely electrical, he goes through a lot of the maths. You can take that as far as you want as well. He has some really in-depth stuff that I've watched and thought, Jesus Christ, I definitely need to brush up. But he does actually have playlists that run through a lot of the level 2 science and principles stuff. Level 2. When you get to that stage, it's worth watching. Do you watch any of the YouTube influencers yet? You joined Matthew's Nick Monday fan club.
The Nick Monday fan club.
Legacy.
Oh yeah, we've got the Gorilla Nick on the front. Matthew took that to the bathroom for half an hour this morning. I don't know what he was doing in there. Do you not follow any of those guys and girls on YouTube yet, mate?
I follow some electrical channels, but like, do you know Electric, the guy who like always electrocutes himself?
Okay, yeah, so you're watching all the
That
safety
guy's great.
videos. Yeah, I've seen it.
Like that photonic induction guy.
Okay, yeah, so it's so annoying when you're trying to make electrical content that's useful to people and actually teaches them about it, but some guy who just electrocutes himself gets millions of views on YouTube. Channels follow just to pick up little bits you might not see every day. Like Art of Smart, they have some stuff on Walden Smart and stuff. When I'm involved in that, that's what I'm watching. So you can see how other people work as well. So there's Nick and Art as well. Tom Nagy. David Saber's just hilarious. His last 2 videos were brilliant. Did you watch his last one where he came out with a crowbar on the backside?
Yeah.
He was making on there was some builder upstairs who cut through a cable and he wasn't very happy about it. He'd gone to have a discussion with him upstairs with a crowbar. And Nigel was filming him and he came out afterwards with a crowbar shoved up his ass. And then the one before he just basically took the mick out of Jordan from Artisan for pretty much half an hour. Yeah, you'd like David Safer's channel, Nathan, watch it. It's right up your street, I think. He's starting to get an addiction for tools, yet, Nathan.
difference? Because we've had them wash ones for ages and they all still work alright.
Yeah, to be honest, they all do the same job. That's the thing when you see the little challenges on Instagram where they're like one impact driver from a
A
brand new
second
one
between it.
and one or the other, and even if there's 10 seconds between it, driving a great big nail through a solid dirt, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They all do the same thing. They put holes in stuff and screws in stuff and chop things up.
I don't. Might make a bit of a difference if you're a builder, but an electrician doesn't really need
The key thing for me would be
them big screws.
no, the key thing for me for tools as an electrician is weight. So it's lightweight to carry around and lightweight while you're using it.
Yeah, I guess it's
So I'm not really bothered if it takes a little bit longer to do its job.
All the M12 stuff's really good because it's light.
Yeah, so the Milwaukee M12 stuff is brilliant out of that gear. It's like the SDS. With that, it can't go through and put holes in stuff as fast as the Bosch 36 and 18 volt gear we've got. But it does it in the end, and it doesn't break your arm off while you're doing it.
But it still does it faster than the combi drill, the 18.
Oh yeah, it'll do it faster than a combi. Actually, that's a decent punch for what it is. So yeah, we usually get like still on steps, doing stuff out. We don't want to be holding really heavy gear. But coming back to your point, Nathan, as an apprentice, you shouldn't have to buy any tools of your own. You get provided with them by your employer. But everybody gets a book for buying tools. Or most people do. So you want to start getting your own stuff. And usually starting with basic hand tools, I would say, is the best way. You've already got a bag full of them. Been provided for you.
Did I tell you that?
We dropped a hot dog in IKEA.
He was walking out pushing the trolley and it dropped the hot dog out the bun.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
must
All
have-
over his boots
must
and he
have, like,
must
all
have-
over me.
Oh, no.
Trolley.
Oh, that was a waste of how much a hot dog's from IKEA?
Why?
A pound.
Yeah, it was a pound. But I had like 10 seconds stood at the bin debating whether to like still eat it off or whatever. But there was loads of people like still staring at me, so
Oh, you got shamed.
I had to put it in the bin.
So if those people weren't there, would you have eaten it?
Probably.
You probably
Good.
would have done.
Good for your immune system, isn't it? It's only like
Yeah.
lived there.
Did you go in and buy another one?
No, I got some meatballs as well. So
Okay, so you went back up
I
meatballs.
went back up.
He did look like he was going to cry. But
That would be like so upsetting. I'd be
It was.
upset about that. I'd probably be the same as well. If anyone's watching, then obviously it goes in the bin because you don't want to be that person.
It still looked clean.
IKEA must do a good job of cleaning the floors.
Yeah.
There's a lot of small electrical contractors who I speak with quite a bit. Are really put off taking on apprentices because they think young people are all lazy, too addicted to the phones, computer consoles, and aren't prepared to work hard. I just think that's a bit of a lazy argument and quite stereotypical. You can find things wrong with every generation, I reckon, if you want. So there will be young people who are like that, but equally if you actually give them a chance and tell them what you want them to do, most of them are quite happy to get on and do it.
Interested in
Yeah.
that. Some people just want to get paid and then some people enjoy doing the job.
Yeah, but that's self-responsibility as well on those employers. They need to make sure they do a recruitment well and get the right person. There's loads of people in Apprentice 1-to-1 who are desperate to be electricians and really want a job. And in fact, some employers don't take that step because they're convinced all young people are essentially lazy and not interested. And that's just a bad experience they might have had through choosing the wrong person. You're not going to get every hire right, you always will make a mistake.
A lot of them have probably never had their own apprentice just from what they've heard from other people.
Well, yeah, there is that. Most of the ones I speak with have, to be fair, and they've had a bad experience with it. But there is all the other people who see those discussions and think, nah, bollocks to that. It's like with you, Zappi going on here. Punched our NYY through, and it's just going to go on the wall the other side of here. So we're going to get on with mounting that now. Matthew's just on with his little bits and pieces. I'm on the inside, getting all wired up into the board, and I'll get you some pictures of that we'll drop up on the video and show you as well. But this is quite a simple one, short little run. Type A RCBO because we are travelling through the cavity of the wall and then into the Zappi itself. But yeah, I'll show you the picture of what it looks like inside and how we've got it finished in a little bit. Okay, so we've got our cable out now and cleated along. Matthew's just out here doing some testing on the Zappi that's now on the wall and working. The old TIS kit there. So yeah, we're all done. We'll just give this a test off. Nice and finished. I'll pop the pictures up from inside as well so you can see what's gone on there. And yeah, get involved in the comments and let us know what you think. Jobs are especially hard then, Nathan. I've been done another one.
No, those are the easiest thing
You what?
you do, to be honest.
Yeah.
Easier than changing a light.
Why do you reckon they make it so complicated then with all these extra rules and courses and books?
Make what?
Like EV installs complicated. There's people who think it's like far more complex than we realise. I think the overall principle of having loads of EVs connected to the grid definitely is. The installation requirements of them are very simple as long as you follow the basic principles.
Do you have to be EV verified to do EV install? E10B's nuts.
Dear. You tried that one earlier and it wasn't funny then, even though in your own mind you think it's hilarious. Who told you that joke?
I don't know, to be honest.
You just
Like,
think-
one of my friends did it to me.
What even is the joke? Say it again.
Basically, you say like, is this E10 verified? Like E and then the 10.
Yeah.
So it sounds like E10.
Yeah.
So then they'll say, what's that? And you say E10B's nuts.
Say what,
E10B's nuts. It's not really that funny, to be honest. There's loads like that. They're a bit more explicit.
We need the explicit ones. The explicit ones sound a lot more fun.
Or like, you ask someone, is Candice coming? And they'll say, who's Candice? And you say, Candice nuts fit in your mouth.
So I hope you enjoyed watching in the van and a bit of the install work we've done today. It was kind of really to show how the apprenticeship system works. So we've looked at the start of this video about all of the grants and things to do with that, and I thought it tied in quite nicely with the EV aspect because they are linked in a way that I'll sort of explain in a minute, and also to show how apprentices kind of work around adults. I know that's often a concern of some employers of how they're quite going to fit in and getting the work ethic out of them. But as Nathan said in the video, you know, you can be very, very lazy but also work very, very hard. They can do both things all at the same time. I think it's easy to tar people with a generational thing. It's gone on from the beginning of time, hasn't it? You can look back through the generations and you'll always find older people like myself having a whinge about younger people. And not all apprentices are youngsters either, that's worth pointing out. There's lots of adult apprentices within the Apprentice one-to-one community who are looking for work, looking for jobs. So you don't have to pick school leavers and young people. There's other options there as well. But the key point with the apprenticeship system, and it is relevant to do with EV as well, is your admin and your paperwork. So I can't emphasise enough how important that is, because there's employers who've got in a position where they've taken an apprentice on, they've kind of taken them into employment and put it on the back burner to get them sorted out with college and other bits and pieces, and then when you get to that point in time where you are doing it, it's too late, you've missed deadlines. Once you start the process off and you've taken somebody into employment, it's really important that you do follow the right advice, make sure you're aware of deadlines, that you actually keep your end of the bargain, and make sure you're putting your paperwork in correctly, making arrangements with the college correctly, and you get it all your ducks in a row. Otherwise you're going to be left without the grant at the end of it, and that's one of the key things help driving all of this, is that little bit of financial support right at the start of an apprenticeship. And it'd be so sad that you couldn't claim that because of something as basic as an admin issue, or just kicking a problem down the road. And we're all busy, so it's one of those things where you do need to make it a priority. If you are going to the trouble of making a position for someone and giving them a chance of employment, you want to get that help and support as well right from the beginning. And that kind of ties in with the EV. For anybody who is familiar with it, the admin side of it is a nightmare. We're effectively pay unpaid skivvies for Her Majesty's Customs and Revenue in documenting the arse end of everything, to make sure that all the information is there, from serial numbers on the EV chargers and hubs and other bits and pieces and equipment, car details, delivery documentation, all of the MPAN numbers, photographs of the installation and driveways. It's a massive collection of documentation, and it's the same with your apprenticeship. So it's best to speak with a local apprenticeship expert. There's all sorts of these regional bodies that are out there that can help you in hiring an apprentice, and they don't charge anything. Speak with a local college as well. They can give you some guidance and support. I'll obviously help. If you drop me a message, I'm more than happy to point people in the right direction. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video. It shows that you can grow a business through apprentices. Matthew is a time-served qualified electrician now. He's been through the apprenticeship process. Nathan's starting on in the early stages, and we're going to get them both on the channel more often. They're quite the comedy duo actually off camera. There's lots of stuff I've had to cut out of this that's just far too explicit for my YouTube channel. But yeah, we'll get some more coverage with him as things move along. You can see Nathan's progression, and we'll show a bit of him in action at work as well. And yeah, that was it really. I just wanted to do a very, very quick run through of what it's like to take on an apprentice. Like I said, make sure you get your paperwork in order, you speak with local experts, because there are other grants available as well. It's not just the government funding, there's other regional economic support that's available within certain parts of the UK, and it's worth speaking with your local authority as well, and some of these enterprise hubs that are out there. There's too many to list, they're all over. I mean, we're broken down in very strange regional setups within the UK, so it's very much on a local basis. So you need to speak to those local experts, make sure you get the right advice. There is some information out there that's not accurate to do with the grants as well, so make sure you are taking note of what it says on the government website. People have suggested that if you put your existing employers onto an apprenticeship system, you can get the grants for them. That's just not true. While you can put your existing employees onto an apprenticeship, you can't get the COVID support grant unless their apprenticeship started within those time windows. So that's key information. And also that the grants now have been for quite some time not based on age, apart from the initial £1,000 worth of funding, as we mentioned at the start of the video. So yeah, it's getting that key facts and information. I'm very mindful of making sure that I always present that, because it's easy to just start waffling away about something that you're not an expert on or know enough about, and all of a sudden you've created myths that people go off and think are true, and follow that advice and guidance and end up in a pickle. Likewise with a lot of adult retrainees, especially getting in touch with Apprentice One-to-One. They've kind of done the theory aspects of the training with a 2365, I think it is, to try and avoid the first year of the lower apprenticeship wages because of advice they've been given. And it's really hard for them to find employers after that stage and transition over onto an apprenticeship. It's not something that's straightforward and easy to do. So I would always advise that you accept that when you are going through that apprenticeship training route, your payment into that is the reduced wages that you're going to have to take while you go through the training. At the end of the day, you are still being paid to learn. I know it's not a brilliant wage. Unfortunately, while you build up the speed and skills you need for employers to be able to cover those salary expenses, certainly smaller employers, then it's a trade-off you have to accept until the government change things, which they have spoken about doing. They're on about unlocking the student loan system, so you can kind of put an application in for loans in the same way you would for if you were going to university to pay for your cost of living and things. So that's something that's coming. But for the time being, I would still very much advise that you go for a full apprenticeship with an employer. We're all trying as industry to raise the prospects of employment. That's still the key missing ingredient, is getting employers to make those positions, and I'm trying really hard to engage with smaller employers and show them the benefits, explain my journey and experiences, and the larger employers traditionally taking quite a few apprentices anyway. They hopefully are going to continue to do that, and certainly a lot of these main contractors, they have a large apprenticeship workforce, and hopefully that's going to grow and prosper, and that they'll be given the right support and mentorship through that training as well, because that seems to be a missing ingredient. And as I spoke about with Nathan on this video, when you have got apprentices, actually give them the opportunity to work. Make sure that they can actually be allowed to do bits and pieces. They're not just there to stand and watch you and carry tools and fetch you bacon sandwiches and coffees. You're letting them get involved, expose them to testing, explain the safe practices we need to follow with safe isolation, and your VDE tools and the reasons that we do things. If they're asking questions, that's always a really good thing. We've spoken about that a lot. Ask questions if you're an apprentice. People would like to give you the answers, and Nathan's already asking us loads, so that's fantastic. But yeah, otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you all on the next one in a week or so. See you all later.